Good morning, good morning, good morning. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Glad to have you here with me on our Xtrades FOMO live stream. Hope everybody's doing well this morning. Looking forward to tackling some stuff here with regards to the market. But before we get into that, let me get the stream started over in our Discord just so those folks can also follow along if they'd like to. Share my screen over here. There we go live. All right. So, let's see. We did have some economic data come out this morning, seeing a little bit of a pullback here on S&P futures based on, I guess, whatever that data was. But again, I'm kind of right at 8:30. I'm getting all of these streams set up and things going to Discord and YouTube and all that. So let's see what the data had to say. I'm guessing that's an interesting. Yeah, I mean, there's not really anything US wise that I would expect to be a big market mover. I did see a little notification, something about, I think, Canada GDP numbers. So let's take a look at that real quick. Maybe that's somehow weighing on the US markets at the moment. Let's take a look, though. Just looking at the economic data calendar. I did include Canada there. But it's not, yeah, I'm not really seeing what piece of data, at least not on the trading economics calendar, that would be causing things to move around a little bit this morning. So, but I did get a little notification that kind of popped up and disappeared before I could read the whole thing about Canadian GDP. So I'm guessing that number came in unexpectedly low, and there's concerns that that may then affect or, be some kind of a canary in the mine shaft for future economic data points coming out from the U.S. What's up, KD? Good to see you. Good morning. Also, if you guys are here on the YouTube stream, please take a moment to chime in, say something in the chat so I know you're here. We are going to start covering some new member selected, or we're going to cover our member selected tickers from over the weekend, or a couple of trade plans that we did on last Thursday's live stream. But obviously, we are going to be doing some new. Yeah, that's all I see too, CD, as far as U.S. data goes. And to me, there we go. Hang on. Canadian GDP month over month came in below the consensus and less than half of the previous reading. So again, I wonder if that is somehow causing things to get rattled a little bit here with the US markets. Yeah, employment cost index was slightly high. It's not really a economic data point I typically pay attention to. So I'd be surprised to see if that's or if that's what's moving us, but it could be. I mean, maybe there's a new data point that we need to start being a little bit more aware of. We also do have Chicago PMI today at 9:45 a.m. After market open, and then consumer confidence at 10 a.m. So do keep those kind of couple of data points in mind as we go. Yeah, compensation costs for civilian workers, United States, 1.2% in the first quarter, accelerating from a point. So I'm guessing that the concern there is more money in the pockets of the U.S. consumer, more demand, more inflation. Maybe the Fed, the narrative around the Fed has all of a sudden started to shift back toward, well, maybe they aren't going to totally rule out any potential new rate increases. So yeah, we're definitely in a very weird place right now as far as my personal experience trading over the last probably, gosh, I guess it's been about 8 years now. With, just kind of mixed messages across the board. This is all, I think, the fallout of a, hopefully once in a lifetime event with COVID and a pandemic that essentially shuttered the world for a little while there and disrupted supply chain, and things just really haven't come back into balance since. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, employment numbers are strong, consumers are still spending, how much of that is being put on credit and how much of that credit is going to wind up going into default, I think, is the big concern. But again, that's why I try not to get too embroiled in trying to track these economic data points and things of that nature, and focusing a little bit more on just what the charts are showing us, which, right now, if we're looking at ES futures here, we did clear out a supply zone that we had overhead and put in a couple of new demand zones. We are overall bigger picture, at least, well, I should say we're mixed, actually. I'm sorry, I take that back. We're a little bit mixed, right? We've got bullish flag here on NTS. That's also adding buying pressure in this demand zone range. But in addition to that, we also have these SMAs, which are currently still both trending down and inverted, which means the 200 is below the 333. The 200 actually is starting to curl up a little bit, but this 333 is still in a pretty convincing downtrend. These are a couple of bigger picture indicators I like to look at. And the 333 is great for finding kind of dynamic support resistance. You guys have heard me talk about this probably countless times and are sick of hearing about it. But here we kind of see a break above and a little bit of a back test, right? Didn't quite get all the way down and touch it, but came very close to it. We also have this trend line that I've kind of been interested by. It looks like it's been clearly invalidated here. But if we look at this from a 4-hour perspective, this is kind of a very interesting pipe pattern reversal with, honestly, it's just about a bullish engulfing candle as well. So, to me, this almost looks like a little bit of a fake out. We've had so many clean touches of this ascending trend line right here that I almost kind of feel like this was a shakeout, and this is a trend line that might still be valid and we'll want to keep an eye on. We've also broken out of this downtrend right here. So overall, things are starting to shift a little bit bullish. However, we have found some pretty clean resistance here at 51.54 on ES, and then we also have this confluence overhead at right around this 51.70 to call it 51.76 range, where we have key selling pressure here on NTS and the 333 SMA overhead there. So, lots of confluence of resistance. Once we break through that, things definitely get interesting for continuation to the upside, and there is definitely room to play bounces by the dip. I would say as long as this 51.11 level holds, as long as that's holding, I'd be okay with looking for good opportunities to buy the dip, knowing that you may top out somewhere around that 51.70 level. So anyway, keep that stuff in mind as you look at what other trades you're getting involved in, because again, how SPY and QQQ move will overall, it's always kind of a chicken or the egg scenario. How much of it is caused by the underlyings, the components of these ETFs, which generally that is what moves them, right? But because they start moving in a particular direction, then you start to see sympathy across the market, where other tickers start to get affected that maybe aren't the heavyweights in these indexes. So that being said, understanding what's going on with the ETFs, especially futures, from a futures perspective, is a great way to kind of keep yourself informed on if you want to lean a little bit more toward, buying the dip or selling the rip. So that being said, let's get into some recaps, and then we'll do some new trade plans here. So CD, good to see you. KD, for those of you who have joined since we got started here in the last few minutes, please take a moment, chime in the chat. Let me know that you're here. Want to say what's up, want to say good morning. And also, if you have any ticker requests, please feel free to go ahead and drop those in the chat here. Also, apologies if you hear me kind of taking regular pauses. I've been dealing with some kind of a respiratory issue, so I'm sucking on cough drops to try to keep myself from hacking up a lung in your speakers there, or into my microphone and through your speakers there. So, all right, trying to soldier through here. So, member selected tickers we had over the weekend. NVIDIA was the most voted ticker. This was an interesting one. And you've probably heard me say this before. Generally speaking, I try to be very cautious about jumping into anything in the first 15 to 30 minutes of the trading day, especially on a Monday after a weekend. There's just all kinds of things that might be playing out as far as longs taking profit, shorts covering, shorts trying to enter new short positions, whatever the case might be for the week. Should just be a little bit cautious. We definitely saw a fairly convincing fake out breakdown here on this NVIDIA trade plan, but again, all that took place within the first 30 minutes of the day. So generally speaking, I use that as a wait and see period. And I've seen a lot of this here recently too, where we get these major moves down right into the right shortly after open, and then it immediately gets bought back up. So especially if you're seeing some kind of a breakdown, quick flash kind of move to the downside like we saw here on Nvidia, just be really careful about chasing that entry. Try to be a little bit more methodical and patient about those entries, because again, this kind of looked like a convincing break to me. But that being said, you know, it's so early on a Monday, I would have been very cautious and probably avoided this particular entry. But hindsight's also 2020, and I wasn't watching Nvidia at that point in time. So anyway, this one's still consolidating, so keep it on watch now, and again, wait for something that's a little bit more of a methodical entry. If we get a break over this 891.86 level or below 862.03, as you guys know who are in our Discord, these plans are posted in the options watch list from Sunday evening. So if you need to go back and check these out, please take a moment to do so. The next one that we had, Microsoft. This one, interestingly, even though Microsoft just reported very strong numbers on their earnings, has continued to play out to the downside, and also saw a really nice backtest opportunity well after market open. So again, I would have probably avoided chasing this move here. Wait for that backtest right here. Also really nice confluence with Neptune, full bearish flag, bearish ribbon, and right at the key selling pressure of that bearish ribbon as we get that back test of the 402.71 put entry. That's a great entry opportunity there. Again, be patient, don't chase these entries, and it does continue to pull back and down, and it's rejecting that put entry level and maintaining the overall bearishness here on Neptune going into the open here today. So it does seem to be finding some support at a level that we don't have a watch currently, around 399.28. As long as we hold below 499, looks good to probably continue down. And again, apologies for dealing with these cough drops and trying to keep my throat from going crazy while we try to get through this live stream this morning. So 499, kind of really interesting resistance point, VWAP right there. Lots of bearishness here on NTS. So if you're not already in, keep an eye on that. That could be a potentially nice entry level there to potentially catch a rejection and play for the downside. If you're already in on this back test right here, you should still be in decent shape below 499. So I would move my stop up to that. That looks like a key level that it needs to hold below at this point to continue down potentially. So that's the Microsoft trade plan, where we're at with that so far. IWM, big reaction to whatever that data was here this morning, whichever item that was. And again, it could have been the employment wages, or what was that called again? It was a new one for me, at least one I don't typically look at. Employment costs, as far as benefits and wages. And I do know benefits costs have been going up crazy across the board, having to deal with that somewhat with my business. So, again, IWM so far was looking good. Looked like a good, convincing break to the upside, but then we had that crazy flash dump there yesterday, and then this economic data this morning pushing us down further. So, again, if you're already in longs, I'd be very careful about holding those. Especially below this 197.87 weekly level. That would be a tough resistance for us to break back above. So, could potentially see IWM shift to a put play here. But, keep your head on a swivel with these. Again, market is making some very kind of tricky moves from a price action standpoint. All right, CL we did on last Thursday's live stream. This one was done live, so you guys can go back and watch the recording if you want. We did talk about this having earnings after hours. This is Colgate Palmolive. We were kind of having pretty good expectations. I forget who it was exactly that asked for the CL trade plan, but if it was you and you're here watching the live stream, please chime in. Let me know if you took this or not. We did get a confirmed break to the upside. Overall, it did hold the stop loss average down. SMAs were bullish. Neptune was ultimately bullish going into the pre-market earnings report here. That took us all the way up to PT3 and then some pre-market, but then right at the market open, we got that nice clean test of PT3. That would have been your opportunity to go ahead and book those profits right there. Ultimately caught that move perfectly with this trade plan. Came back, gave us a back test opportunity there in the Neptune buying pressure. 200 SMA right there on the 5-minute chart. So really nice bounce opportunity there that's pushed us back up to the upside and got very close to getting to PT2, but at the very least PT1 plus. And again, as these plans play out, make sure that you're moving your stops up so you don't ever wind up letting a green trade go red. That's the last thing you want to do in the world of trading, especially options. So the CL trade plan played out nicely, even though you would have had to swing through an ER, which again is generally a very risky proposition, not something I would typically recommend. And we saw that again here with Google. Again, talked about this earlier with NVIDIA, kind of very much the same thing. We get these like big dumps right into the open or right at the open. Came back up, consolidated below the put entry right there for a little bit. That definitely would have been a pretty decent and convincing backtest opportunity for me, to be perfectly honest. So again, another tricky one where we get this breakdown below a key level and ultimately just gets bought right back up. So gotta wonder if it's trapping shorts or shaking out longs when these moves happen. But clearly things seem to be leaning toward the upside, but with some very tricky price action along the way. Ultimately, Google did recover all of that downside, got back above the call entry, back tested. So again, good call entry opportunity there. Did ultimately come up and hit PT1 after that. And then if you were willing to swing through the earnings report, well, obviously PT3 and a lot more beyond that, up into new all-time highs really for Google. Yeah, we will. In fact, I think I saw Google requested this morning as one of our trade plans. So we'll circle back to this and we'll see what we can't figure out, even though we're going to be working with minimal price action. Won't be the first time that we've dealt with that. In fact, that's all of our recaps. We're already here looking at the Google chart. So let's go ahead and dive in. Let's see if we can't come up with the next Google trade plan that will hopefully be another money printer for us. I'm going to hide these old fib extensions real quick. All right, so again, this is going to be a little bit tricky. Google currently at all-time highs, price discovery. So, you know, we're going to have minimal price data to use here, but that doesn't mean that we can't make it work. All right, so let's see, looking at this hourly chart, again, we're going to not have much to go on, so I'm going to have to really use bend a lot of my typical rules for establishing support and resistance just based on sort of my experience and knowing how to look at these charts. Again, I see there's a handful of people watching. I've only seen a couple of folks chime in the chat. If you are here, please take a moment, say what's up in the chat. That way I know you're here. You can also drop some ticker requests. We'll try to get through as many trade plans as possible so we're ready to head into this trading day well prepared to execute those plans. But going back to this Google trade plan that was requested by KD, appreciate it, KD. This is an interesting level. Again, not really a truly established level, but one that we're going to want to keep on watch. Another one here, again, minimal price action, price data to work with. The other thing that we could do might be a little bit helpful. Let's see what that shows us. And let's switch this. There we go. Oh, wait, it's not confusing between my old fib extensions. Hey, what's up, Deidre? Good morning. WNMD. Yeah, we can try to take a look at that one. All right, so going to use these, again, fib levels a little bit here. Also, that's going to be a little bit going to need to depend on some indicator input here. The other thing that I'd like to do is put out a new set of fib extensions. A little bit tricky with that earnings report pump, but I think what we're looking at is a trend. Yeah, it starts right about here. So let's see if this plays out real quick. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Let me zoom in here a little bit. Shoot, sorry. All right, there's that spot that I wanted. There's that. Okay, so yeah, okay, let's go. I'm looking at probably something, yeah, right about there. Yep, I like that. So relying on a lot of fib levels here, but again, we don't have a lot of choice but to do that in an area of minimal price data. Come on, get on that line. There we go, close enough. All right. So, knowing that we've got a confluence of these fibs here, still buying pressure on Neptune all the way down to this level, I think that we don't really, again, using what data we have available and using these indicators, I think 161.76 is where things start to get interesting for a potential downside entry. Let's get rid of these old long shorts from these old trade plans. Let me clean these up real quick, just so this doesn't get confusing as we put together this plan. All right. So, yeah, 161.76 looks like a good put entry. Now, the real challenge with that is going to be, how do we determine a stop loss average down? And honestly, I'm going to have to do something, again, I wouldn't normally do or recommend, but we're going to have to go into some smaller time frames, and even that's not going to be that helpful because it's just one big massive 5-minute candle. Let's see. Again, breaking all the rules here, so be very careful about do as I say, not as I do kind of scenario here. Golly. Yeah, that is just a straight rocket, and it's going to be really kind of almost impossible to find any kind of a reasonable stop loss average down in this one big massive candle. And I don't think we can set it as high as this 165.86 level, because the potential downside, I think, you know, really first target we're looking at probably 158.47. A little tricky here. What do you think about this? How do I want to play this? This is hopefully good info or input for those of you kind of have to do analysis on the fly. All right, so here's what I'm looking at. Here's what I think we're going to shoot for. If we break below this 161.76 level, I wouldn't want to see us back above this 15-minute 333 SMA. Now, this is going to move, so essentially we kind of have to pick a sort of a projected spot here. And I'm going to make this like bright red, meaning that this is like, essentially at this point, this is like a made-up support and resistance level, but we don't have a ton to work with here on this Google trade plan, just because of how this earnings move played out, and where the Fibonacci levels are sitting. Yeah, so I think this is the best thing we've got to work with. So we'll use 163.56 stop loss average down. Again, I like that 158.47 first price target down here to 156.25. Second price target, third target, I take it down to this 154.03 level. Yeah. So that's going to be the put side of the trade plan. Our call side should be a little bit easier-ish. Clearly, we've got some resistance at this 166.99 level. Again, that was an iffy hourly level that we drew this morning. Could even be just a tad higher, actually, right there. 167.08. I want to see what that does for us. Yeah, at the very least, and I can see, well, it's a little bit lower. It's more like right here. Nope, right there. Again, another iffy-ish level. So trade this one cautiously. Keep your position sizing small. We're in price discovery. It's going to be less predictable up in this range. But I could see possible entry here over 167.63. So we use this, what's that, 160, why do I not see, that's a fib level, isn't it? Yeah. Say we use this fib level that we caught here at the 50%, 165.49. That'll be our stop loss. First target. Yeah, I think we'd be remiss not to use. You know what, we could actually bump this up a little bit now that I'm looking at it. This was based on better price data. We are going to nudge this up one level. Entry there, first price target here. Oh, duh, it's another fib level. Sorry. There we go. Second target here at this 171.01. Interesting topping right around here, but that's in selling pressure. There is an interesting little shift we can see here on the 15-minute though that I would use as our third price target. All right, so again, don't have a ton of price data. We are in price discovery. I've said that multiple times now. Please be cautious, start small using these levels. Because again, generally speaking, my plans, my personal approach to trading works best when we've at least had some time to develop support and resistance levels. And we just haven't, Google has not done a lot of that post earnings report. So this is what we are looking at for our Google trade plan. And get this over into the options watch list in Discord. Oops. Be cautious. Discovery. All right. So what are we looking at here on Google? Well, we're looking for a break over 167.63. That should give us targets at 169.26, 171.01, and 173.35 with a stop loss average down at 165.86. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 161.76. That should give us targets at 158.47, 156.25, and 154.03 with a stop loss average down at 163.56. Those are your Google trade plans for the upside and the downside. All right, next there was a CD wanted to refresh the Tesla trade plan. Tesla's been on a tear here these last couple of days. Old trade plan had an entry over 172.33 with targets at 179.89, 184.39, and 190.70. We've obviously knocked all those targets out of the park and then some. So let's clean up this chart a little bit. Let's work on a new plan here for Tesla. There we go. All right. Do have a gap down here. Honestly, it's very close to this. You know, I'm going to mark it separately for now. I'm going to go back and check this later. I almost wonder if this 4-hour level is a little bit lower, slightly off possibly, just with that gap forming so close to it. So gap down there from 173.87 to 169.06. Be surprised if one of those levels doesn't become a price target as we look to do this trade plan here. Again, this 184.39 level could be a little off. At least looking at the hourly, it could be just a tad higher. I think it's right there. Also nice confluence with Neptune there on that slight adjustment. So below that, we're breaking down this bullish ribbon here on Neptune, and then I also noticed here on the 15-minute breakdown below the bullish flag, key buying pressure there. So I like that. It's a potential downside entry opportunity. Stop loss. Interesting little level right here that I don't have yet. Or at least currently, I should say. I wonder if this hourly level, 191, 180, could just be that there's another level there I haven't mapped yet. That does look like an intriguing stop loss average down level. First target, let's see. Yeah, it's kind of eyeballing this 177.58 level. Yeah, that's what we're going to go with. Below that, I think we then use these gap levels. Like I said, I'd be surprised if they didn't come into play. They're both going to come into play on this particular plan. So yeah, I like that setup for the downside. Again, waiting on a break below 184.78 there though. To the upside, we do have this weekly level just overhead. Let me see if we've got any kind of, yeah, I was going to say I'd be surprised if Tesla was still dealing with too much Neptune selling pressure where it's at after this recent move that it's made off these lows. So let's go back. Got a bunch of old trade plan levels here. Long shorts. Whoops. All right. So is that weekly level the key break is my question. 199.53. Yeah, I think it is. I think that then gives us first price target at about, what's that, 204.82. Over that, let's see what else we've got to work with. Was at 787. Then over 207.87. Sorry, I'm debating a little bit here. I think there's a shot at coming up to this 212.34 level. But I think there's also a chance that we reject there at 209.65. So I'm going to use the more conservative of those targets as my third price target for the plan. But as far as you guys are concerned, feel free to pick your poison between those two. Stop loss average down. I'm eyeballing 196.50 to 195.30. Let's see if we get some confirmation or some confidence on one of those two levels. Yeah, yep. I like this as our stop loss. They're at 196.50. Okay, so here's the updated Tesla trade plan. Zoom out a little bit on this one. And in fact, what I'll do just to make things a little bit easier to see, let's copy this over to another layout real quick. Are we setting that? I mean, we're looking for a big downside move if it does break below that, but looking at this, I think we're being a little too generous with that stop loss, kind of giving us another look as we get ready to not lock in this plan. I'm going to make that slight adjustment. So kind of a big area of a kind of a no man's land, potential chop issues sort of thing, between the call and put entry levels, but it's just what it looks like. So this is one that we're going to have to be patient with. But I'm going to plug this into this other layout real quick. That way it's a little bit easier to see. Oh gosh, I got old drawings on here. Yep, I did. All right. Now, now it should be easier to see. And again, for me, I'm going to set that as our third price target. You can shoot for that further price target though if you'd like. Downside, it's like this. This should also make it much easier to see if you need to come back and look at the trade plan link, or if you're saving these chart images somewhere, just because there is a lot on that Tesla chart, my main chart. All right, so let's copy this link. And copy this image. Sorry, I'm just now taking a quick look at what's going on in the Discord. Again, for those of you in our Discord, a reminder that I'm really focusing on our YouTube channel for how we're broadcasting these live streams in the mornings. So if I'm missing your messages in the Discord, my apologies. Please make sure that you're joining the YouTube side of things, because again, pretty soon here we're going to entirely phase out broadcasting these to Discord, and we'll do these exclusively via YouTube. So again, make sure that you are joining the YouTube streams there. NVIDIA, again, we saw, again, sort of a very convincing, but right into the early part of the market open on a Monday. All a little bit, sketchy as far as entries go, in my opinion, getting in that early into the day. So really convincing fake out to the downside. We saw it on Google as well. I think maybe even that, no, just before Google went into earnings. So it's back in the consolidation area. I'd say go back to the trade plans I posted in the watch list for member selected tickers and just stick to the plans from here. Just be careful getting into those, super early on a Monday morning entries, especially with, overall things on an uptrend, but starting to show some signs of weakness here this morning with the 200 just barely sliding below the 333 there. All right, so we had one more ticker request over here in the YouTube stream. WNMD. Is that a ticker or is that an acronym for something? WNMD. What's new? My dude? I don't know what WNMD is, Deidre. My apologies. Excuse me again, I'm still recovering from some kind of a respiratory bug or issue or bronchitis or whatever, so my apologies. I'm doing my best to not have my voice and throat just totally give up. So MNMD. Okay. You said WNMD earlier. I was like, is that what's new, my dude? I feel like it could be. MNMD. Oh yeah. God. Why did that take me a second? I'm holding shares of this from I think $2 or $4 or something like that. I'm up nicely, long story short. All right, let's take a look at this one. MNMD Mind Medicine just got some FDA approvals recently for breakthrough, I think, anxiety treatment. And I think ultimately what their goal is to kind of use compounds from psilocybin mushrooms to treat depression and anxiety. It's a really interesting thing. Chris G, one of our homies, one of the team Xtrades members, and customer success specialist extraordinaire, is the guy who turned me on to this one forever ago. And I've just been riding shares and selling covered calls at what I feel are the right moments. So let's see if we can't come up with a trade plan for this, though. It's a good call there, Deidre. I haven't taken a look at this one in a while since it's made some of these bigger moves. All right, so just to kind of get through this quickly, I know typically I would go through several time frames. 4 hour, though, one of my favorite time frames for charting support and resistance. Overall, though, when you're doing it and you have the time to do it, make sure that you are looking through multiple time frames and you're doing things as you go through that process to make sure that you are setting your charts up for future success in trade plans. Let's see. So I'm just going to very quickly, because again, we're getting a little tight on time before I have to go do this buy plan for today. This is an interesting little top up here. 1309. I know MMMD has traded up in these higher levels before. It's quite some time ago. Question is 1309 an actual level, or is that just a kind of a rando rejection there? Seeing it a little bit. It's not quite at that exact spot. Yeah, there's something right around that level. Something there for sure. I don't think we're going to need levels too much higher, but let's go ahead and knock out one more. There is something right around that 1439 level. And let's see what we've got. Going back. Yeah, there's a level there. One there. The question is, I gotta believe there's some support and resistance. Might be something right around the 710 level, but let's see. Well, we haven't had a lot of price action in that range. So, it's looking at about 710 probably. I don't think we validate or get any help with that though. Nope. It's an interesting rejection there at 667, but again, I don't recall seeing much of interest around that level either. Okay, well, take a look on the hourly here. Dig into these candles a little bit. All right, what do we got? Kept thinking we were gonna price action was gonna move right up into this range, and get off that. There we go. All right, here it comes. Yeah, still not really too much more convinced about either of those levels. There might be, yeah, something right around this 702 level, actually. All right, let's take a look at where that puts us. Okay, so fill in the blanks as we go from here. It's an interesting hourly level. I think 9. Yeah, I want to see this 986 level cleared out. Got confluence with the 333 SMA right there here on the hourly. I'd want to see that out of the way. Over that, though, we're looking for a potential move up to 1102. So it could be a big move over 986 to get things started. Excuse me. Even though these seem like two very tight levels on something that's trading in the $10 range, 42 cents is actually a pretty decent move. So I'd be looking at that. Second target, third target. Again, I'm going to play conservative between the two options here. 12.16 could be 13.15 now. Stop loss average down. Yeah, I don't think I'd want to be back below 952 if I'm going to continue to hold for the upside, at least from a, if you're trading option standpoint. Let me hide this real quick. I got a little bit of noise in the way there from the indicators where I want to see if we have confirmable level. I'm probably sitting right around 876. Yeah. And I think that's going to make for a pretty decent put entry level. Stop loss here at 926. First target down here at 826. Second target 791. There is a level here that I don't have yet. And third price target down here at 754. Again, I might have this slightly off. We'll do these levels fairly fast. Let's go with 756. 2 cents difference, right? Not much. So here is your Mind Ned trade plan for the upside and the downside. Oh, remember, yeah, let's see. Yep, I like that confluence actually there with Neptune at that first price target. All right, so this would be a good one to trade with shares. Not sure if it's a shortable ticker. Probably is. But here is our third and final trade plan for the day. Mind the plans. And we'll send this over to our friends on our Discord. All right, so what are we looking for here on Mind Medicine? We're looking for a break over 986 with targets at 1102, 1142, and 1216 with a stop loss average down at 952. For the downside, we're looking for a break below 876. That should give us targets at 826, 791, and 756 with a stop loss average down at 926. All right, and with that, that is going to wrap up our live stream for this morning here on the Xtrades FOMO live stream. I want to thank you guys for joining me both in YouTube and on our Discord. For those in Discord, again, please make your way over to the YouTube channel. That is going to be the sole and exclusive place for watching these live streams here in the near future. So please make sure to make that a habit of going to our YouTube. Also, make sure you're subscribing to our YouTube channel because, again, pretty soon we are going to limit the chat to subscribers only. So just to make sure that you don't have any disruptions with being able to communicate with me during these live streams, make sure that you are subscribing to the Xtrades YouTube channel. It is totally free to do that. It's not going to hurt at all. So go ahead and get that done. And with that, as we always say here on the FOMO live stream, plan your trades, trade your plans, go out there, get some green, secure the bag. I will see you guys in our Discord, in the chats. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Good luck. Talk to you soon. And I'll see you back here Thursday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Should have mentioned that. All right. Take care. Have a great day, everybody.